What about long-term goals? Do you know how to get rid of the world wound forever?
Now you are talking like a real knight commander. However, answering your question is not easy. To win this war, we must bar the demon's way. There are a few planar rifts leading to the abyss across the territory we call the world wound. The best specialists we could find have tried to close them on separate occasions, with no success, as you may have guessed. The world wound is more than just a chain of portals to the abyss. We do not understand its nature yet. The methods of rift closure known to magical science simply do not work here. However, we have a hypothesis, and a rather well-grounded one, that we must begin at the source of the problem, the place where the world wound was opened. The main rift lies through the city of Iz, and the Threshold Fortress, deep in the former lands of Socorus. We have never managed to fight our way so far and gain a foothold to allow the mages to explore the origins of the world wound. So, the next step, after you succeed in Dresden, is an offensive push deeper into the world wound, with the aim of reaching Threshold, the very threshold of the abyss.
I don't know why. They just load their drinks up with ice. Nothing else. Before they even fill the pop-up. Annoying as hell. I have no more questions.
Wonderful.
Did you know that the souls of angels from heaven are confined in the wardstones?
I had guessed as much. Many angels fought alongside us in the First Crusade. Heaven was unable to mobilize its full might to aid us, but individual celestials volunteered to fight for our cause. Then one day, they all vanished, saying that they were setting off on an important mission. Not long after, Iomede's herald erected the first wardstone in Kenobris, and then the others in cities across Mendev. Even back then, I had nagging doubts, but my faith in Iomede easily assuaged them. It is for us to serve the goddess after all, not to question her works. Nevertheless, I am pleased that you solved the mystery of the wardstone in Kenobris, and were able to save this gift of Iomede. It was a deed worthy of a knight commander of the Fifth Crusade.
You should know, I received an unusual gift in the caves beneath Kenobris. In a vision, I saw the death of an angel called Lariel, and somehow he was able to grant me the ability to reveal the light of heaven.
Lariel. I knew him. He disappeared shortly before the world wound grew, and Dresden fell into the enemy's hands. In the chaos, we had more important concerns than investigating the fate of a single angel, even one so righteous and beloved as Lariel. And afterward, matters took a turn for the worse. The angels left us to go on their special mission. It is so strange to hear the names I used to hear when I was young, like getting a message from the past. It is sad news, but it brings me back to the times when we strongly believed in our victory, and we rushed headlong toward it without fear.
Where's the option to call Galpria a hag? And what are you going to do?
Overlooking a spot of insubordination just at the moment. However, I shall answer you. I shall prepare the defenses at Nerosian and all the other border cities and plan the future of the Fifth Crusade. Does that satisfy your curiosity, Knight Commander?
My queen, I'd ask you to remain with us. The Dresden campaign is the hope of the crusade, and the blessing of Iomede that you carry may be decisive in this battle.
I hear a polite attempt to appeal to the conscience of an old sovereign. I don't know if you realize what you're suggesting. If our enemies in the depths of the wound were to discover that I was with your army, they would immediately send their most vicious demons to attack. They would stop at nothing to be rid of me, and thereby sow chaos across Mendev. But you are right. I shouldn't be sitting it out in the rear. I am a warrior queen, and a queen of warriors. Yet my fighters have forgotten what I look like. Fine. I shall join the crusade, but on my own terms. First, I shall assemble my entourage and lead the parade out of the camp. I shall catch up with you later, along with a few hand-picked bodyguards. We'll change our armor, and I'll become a knight of a minor order and join the troops incognito.
Okay.
Until we approach Dresden, no one should know I am among you. But before we storm the city, I shall show myself to the troops and join the battle. Let it be a surprise for the demons. I hope you won't complain of my company on the road, Commander, since you were the one who insisted upon it. Do you have any other questions?
The task is clear.
Splendid. Ah, yes. We have one final matter to attend to. It should be rather enjoyable. Count, there you are. You received my instruction?
I did, though I did not have time to read the thing before I was dragged before your majesty. In truth, I was readying myself to depart.
No matter. I trust you will forgive your sovereign for the rather brusque summons, especially when you learn what prompted it. As you are aware, he has recently been appointed my Knight Commander of the Fifth Crusade. I spent a long while pondering whom to appoint to the highly sensitive post of Commander's Field Attaché and Advisor Plenipotentiary without portfolio. Congratulations, Count.
It is a great honor, I suppose.
A rather privileged gesture for a queen.
The adequacy of any measure can only be assessed against the reason that prompted it. Isn't that so, Count? I had my doubts about whether you were ready for such a responsibility, Count, but your conduct in Kenobris has put my mind at ease. So, you will travel with the troops to Dresden. Only the commander may remove you from your post. But I trust that you will dutifully fulfill his orders and make a good showing of yourself.
Agreed. Azalea, agreed.
Especially since word of your appointment, Count, will reach the court at any moment. All of Mendev's nobility will be following your successes in service to the nation, including all of your devoted admirers. I even heard that one bard with whom you are particularly friendly has already begun composing a ballad to honor your heroic participation in the crusade and your faithful service to the commander here.
Your largesse truly knows no bounds, dear cousin. I am most gratified by the honor you have shown me.
Then let's get going. May Ayomade help us.
He really knows how to work people. He really knows how to flip people around. Love it. It's a gift. Yes, it is. How you doing, Rebecca? How's it going? How have you been? Anyways, I better make sure I didn't fail anything just yet. Nope, we're good. Anyways. So, tell me straight, how'd that brawl at the Grey Garrison end? I heard the rumors, of course. That's kind of my job, you know, to listen. You've no idea what cobblers and the Crusaders say about you. Some say that Iomade came to you and appointed you her herald. Others say that you died and an honest to God's angel is now leading the army disguised as you. Still, others say it was just an explosion at an alchemist's lab, and I'm the one spreading rumors about your powers. I wish. But you know, you really have changed since the Grey Garrison. It's hard to describe you, but you've become kind of stronger, more dangerous. I have an instinct about these things. If I didn't, I'd already be dead. You're dangerous, Commander, and by Desna, I hope you'll be dangerous to our enemies and not to us, or to yourself. My twins are a month old today. Let's all feel old. Oh no. Well, congratulations, Rebecca. All right. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Night Commander, how can I help you? There is so much I can do. Just ask. Nora looks at you with the eyes filled with enthusiasm. You've probably heard about the wound I have, the one that sometimes opens on my chest. Could you perhaps tell me if it is some kind of demonic curse? Yes, indeed. I've been told of your affliction. Can you will the wound open? No? That's a shame. What can you tell me about this wound? Well, it's difficult to say. I know of blades that leave never healing cuts, of poisons that stop wounds from healing. I've heard of witches' curses that are rewarded with eternal wounds, but wounds that seem to reopen and heal over and over? Perhaps you know of other races like this? Other cases like this? Let me think. In 4671, a Mendevian army corporal had all his bones cartilage turned to glass. What? In 4700, a scribe in Canabras had all her skin simply come away like she'd been boiled. And in 4638, you don't know, you don't happen to have insects crawling over you? Locusts? No? Rats, perhaps? Too bad. You think it's dangerous? It most likely is dangerous, but you are under the protection of Iomade, Commander. She granted you mythic power, as they say. Well, surely the inheritor would not leave you to face this alone. Have you perhaps noticed that the wound opens at moments when you waver in your faith? Perhaps it is triggered by doubt. Thank you for your answers. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you anything useful. I'll be sure to study this matter and consult a few of my encyclopedias. Tell me about yourself. Oh my, I could tell you so many amazing things and you chose the most boring one of all. But all right, about myself then. Boring one of all, what? Okay. Where are you from? Isger, a small piece of land that proudly calls itself a country, though it hasn't been independent for a single day in all the centuries it's existed. They have a lot of national pride, but all of it is borrowed, always looking to the great day when they can at least be free from the rule of Cheliax. The Isgiri love talking politics. If two of them start barging over the streets at the market, you can be sure that they'll end up arguing about whether an innocent Isger will be a monarchy or a republic. I've always found it funny to listen and a little disgusting. You see, there are a lot of us halflings in the country, but very few are citizens. Most are slaves. I was lucky. I've always been clever. Ever since I was little. So they sent me to school instead of making me do the grunt work. They taught me to hunt and write, and I was sold as a secretary to Lord Axelar Tresbot. He's the one I left Isker with, never to return, I hope. How did you come to serve Godfrey? I was a slave of Lord Axeler Tresbot in Lisgar, my homeland. Oh, what a man he was. He towered over his fellows like a rock over a garbage heap. A true hero. He bought me as a simple secretary, but he made me learn the history of the world wound, all of it. One volume after another. He hired tutors for me, even sent me to meet prominent historians. He didn't want a simple slave, but a slave with an impeccable education. Weird. Interesting. Lord Tresbot was going on a crusade. He firmly believed that the servants of the good gods were asked or weak, and only a follower of Asmodeus could stand against the demon invasion. He took me along as a secretary, a historian, and most importantly, he entrusted me with recording his glorious story for future generations. Okay. In his crusade, Lord Tresbot performed many brave feats, but even he could not stand against the world wound alone. In his final battle with the demons, when my lord realized he was doomed, his final act was to cover my retreat so that I could tell the world of his great deeds. Some people have said what he did was not heroic, just an arrogant moron puffing himself up one last time. But I say curse their tongues. My difficult journey ended in Mendev, where I found my freedom. There, I published Lord Tresbot's biography, and I don't want to boast, but who am I kidding? Of course I do. The book sold in great numbers and made me rather famous for a time. That's what brought me to the Queen's attention. She invited me to her court. After all, she was curious about my deceased lord, and she was in great need of an expert on the history of the world wound. I hope you'll find me useful as well. So you're not just a historian, but a writer too? Will you write a book about my crusade? Why not? As soon as we finish off the demons, I'll get right to it. Just take care that you don't end up like Lord Tresbot. Do you worship any deity? She makes a wry face. When I was a slave in Iskar, they would beat me with a stick to force me into believing in Asmodeus. They hit me and said it was for my own good. Ever since then, I don't like temples. Understandable. I don't think I would either. I realize there are different gods, like Desna or Kaden, who teach goodness and freedom, but it's just, as soon as I smell frankincense, I see the slave driver's stick. Maybe one day I'll be able to turn to a deity without cringing from a blow or not being irreverent enough. But for now, I let others pray for me. Nora sounds sincere, but you feel that she's holding something back. Miracle will be 2 next month. Wow. No, awesome. Wow. Whew. Be able to start kindergarten next year. Thank you for your answers. You're welcome, but you should be asking me about something more interesting. Tell me about the history of the world wound. Oh, I could tell you all about that for hours. What exactly do you want to know? And tell me about old Sarkoris. It was an unforgiving country inhabited by the numerous tribes of Kelid barbarians. Imagine Numeria, but without the Middle Mountains or the realm of the Mammoth Lords. I really want to go there. But with a milder climate. That's Sarkoris. The country was ruled by priests of forgotten deities and shamans. It is said that even back then, before the world wound, the boundary between worlds was especially thin in this region. Since ancient times, Iskari has had his claws sunk deep into the minds of the locals. His cults thrived here for many centuries. Arodin tried to stamp them out, but in the end, of course, he passed away. How did the world wound come to be? It happened the year Arodin died, 4606. A little over a century ago. No one knows if the timing was coincidental or if there's some connection with Arodin's death, but I'll tell you what we do know. The priests and shamans who ruled Sarkoris hated arcane magic and all who appreciated it. Wizards and sorcerers were driven from the land, or worse. One of their prisons held a witch named Aruli Vorlesh. Arilu Vorlesh. Now I'm interested. We know nothing about her besides her name, and of course the atrocities she committed. By some unknown method, she managed to harness the terrible power of the demon lord Discari. Together they tore open the barrier between worlds, opening a rift to the abyss and the very middle of Socorus. The world wound slowly but mercilessly expanded, devouring more and more land. In a matter of years, Socorus was a memory. Well written? Yes. Sometimes I think what they did to Arilu in that prison. Just imagine, she was ready to give herself to the abyss, if only the demons might devour her tortures along with her. To imagine such hatred, it terrifies me. Wow. Okay. The First Crusade. It began in 4622. Yes, it took the church and the secular authorities nearly 2 decades and hundreds of thousands of lives before they decided to take action. Why 2 decades? Really? In the meantime, Sarkois was only supported by handfuls of volunteers. By the time the crusade began, the demons had already invaded Mendev. The Crusaders pushed them back in what must have seemed a total triumph at the time. The forces of good easily crushing the demons on all fronts. They erected Dresden on the lands they conquered, an indestructible fortress, and the capital of the Crusader movement. In 4630, 8 years after it began, the First Crusade was declared victorious. It was the first triumph of the Crusaders and, unfortunately, the last. Tell me of the Second Crusade. In 4638, the world wound suddenly started expanding and a new wave of demons appeared. The Crusaders were all but delighted. Last time they routed the forces of the Abyss and they welcomed another chance to prove themselves. But this time, everything was different. Instead of scattered gangs, they faced a large and organized army. Dresden was besieged, and the Crusaders lost all the lands they had won back before. They had to retreat, and all that remained of Socorus was left to the demons. But while the monsters were devouring the unprotected lands, the Crusaders erected a chain of wardstones along the border of the world wound. We have Iomade and her herald to thank for that. Thank for their help. It was the Second Crusade's only victory, but it halted the wound's growth. The catastrophe had become a stalemate at the cost of tremendous sacrifice. Third Crusade. About 50 years after the opening of the world wound, Discari found an ally, Baphomet, entering the war, a cunning, insidious demon lord who prefers deception to open conquest. He sets his enemies against each other and lures the virtuous onto the path of wickedness. Traitors appeared among the Crusaders, secret agents of his cult. For a time, no one suspected a thing, even as they watched helplessly as the Crusader movement fell to ruin. Where once valor proudly stood, now greed and dumb cruelty reigned, and outrage was drowned in apathy. In 4665, the church announced a new crusade, hoping to boost morale. They didn't succeed, to put it mildly. Some fought the demons in earnest, and for a time they even dared hope to retake Dresden. The Third Crusade would be remembered as a witch hunt in every sense. Inquisitors hoped to purge any cultists from the ranks of fighters, but instead they got a barrage of denunciations, widespread suspicion, and innocent victims. It sometimes happened the two orders would denounce each other as traitors and wipe each other out, much to the demon's delight. Just 3 years later, in 4668, the church put the disgrace to an end. Of all the crusades, that one was the least glorious. Fourth Crusade. Of course, the demons had no intention of sitting quietly caged behind the wardstone. They kept attacking Canopus, trying to reach the wardstone and destroy it, or just scratch its surface. Or even that wasn't possible. Or if even that wasn't possible, befoul it. The Crusaders drove the demons away from the city again and again. The Fourth Crusade would last for 15 years, an exhausting study in positional warfare. The demons attacked and they were pushed back. The Crusaders went on the offensive but were forced to retreat. And all the while, the losses were tremendous. The Fourth Crusade's only achievement was that they didn't let a single wardstone fall. They didn't retake a sliver of land, to say nothing of Dresden. And so many lives, just too many stalemate. Just to maintain the stalemate. You can imagine how that affected morale. Thank you for your answer. My pleasure. I have to go. Wow. Is she a... Oh. So sail. Oh. Hold on. Hmm. Hold on a second. I might need to make a quick reload to see if he would end up getting a mythic path. Or a myth, oh dear. I'm gonna make a quick save here. Stopping by on break at work, not a problem. Not a problem. Hope all's well with you though. Let me go to level up real quick, and I'm gonna go through things real quick.
You'll have plenty of time to talk. However, you can... Of course. That's I commuted Staunton's sentence and justice. These forces, we must... The main... Wonderful. Nevertheless, Lara, it is so... Overlooking us. I hear... I don't know, but until we approach... Split... Count. There...
It is a great honor.
The other I.S.
Your...
Then...
Oh, damn. So he's not going to get any mythic abilities just yet. That's actually kind of sad. That's kind of sad.
Hello again. I'm very pleased to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. It's a pity I wasn't there at the Grey Garrison to witness your feats of strength with my own eyes. The Flash, however, could be seen miles and miles away. Some people were frightened of it, thinking that the demons had blown up the remains of the keep. I, for one, knew immediately that it was a good sign. The light above the city showed us that there was still hope.
Who are you? And how could you possibly be of use to my army?
My name is Sozio Vanek. I am a cleric of Shaylin, the Eternal Rose and the Goddess of Beauty. Yes, I know that many people would consider me useless in a war. This is not a usual war, though. Just consider our enemy. The Abyss and his demons are the very embodiment of everything evil and ugly in the world. Perhaps a disciple of kindness and beauty might come in handy. I have no doubt that we will win this war, Commander. We just have to. It is our destiny. My role is to help you, and all those standing by your side in this struggle. to survive and flourish. Everyone deserves the chance to find peace and happiness in the world that they are defending so selflessly.
What are you painting? The cleric's eyes linger mournfully on the canvas. The unfinished painting depicts a temple crowned with a rainbow-tailed bird, a symbol of Shellen. 5 people dressed in robes standing before the temple, men and women, young and old. They all gaze back at you with radiant happiness and joy in their serene eyes.
My brothers and sisters in faith. They sent me for help, and then they saved my life, Commander. If the Prioress hadn't ordered me to escape the city and seek help, I would have died right along with them. Instead, I met Queen Galfrey on her way to Nerosian, and hurriedly returned to Canabras, only to find my friends dead on the steps of our desecrated temple. I want to draw them the way they live on in my memory. Wise, beautiful, and loyal to their goddess and their city to the very end.
They fulfilled their duty honorably.
They did more than their duty. They gave everything they had to save others. Now it's my duty to make sure my friends and tutors did not die in vain. I will honor their sacrifice by making this world a bit more beautiful and kind.
What made you an artist and enlist in the army?
Perhaps I am a true artist, or simply an amateur who defaces canvases in my spare time. My goddess is a patron of art, so painting is part of my prayer, and I put all my heart into my pieces. But I am a cleric above all else, so I must also tend to others. I went to war because here's where I'm most needed. Sure, I could be painting idyllic landscapes and offering empty prayers to my goddess, but that won't stop people from dying. My goddess has no tolerance for false piety.
You wanted to discuss something with me?
Yes, I have a personal request. Before we undertake our journey and leave Canabras behind, I would like to visit Martyr Zacharias' cemetery for a funeral. It's not far from here, and it's important. I would like to pay my respects to my friends from the Temple of Shalen who died defending the city. Also, if it's not too much trouble, I would like you to come with me to honor their memory. Their friends and family will be at the funeral, and perhaps the commander's personal presence will bring them comfort. I know that you are burdened by many cares right now, so I understand if you can't find the time. But if you could, I would be sincerely grateful.
Nice meeting you. Now I have to go.
You must be rather busy indeed. Leading a crusade all by yourself is no joke. I still believe that you are up to the task. This war has been raging for 100 years, but you've given us a chance at victory.
All right, something we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to talk to everybody.